in all capacities. So I ended up meeting that first client at like a random, it was a dream board party. It was during the new year. My friend was hosting a dream board party. I pictured stacks of physical magazines and scissors and tape and big poster boards. We brought our own poster board and, you know, just envisioning our futures together. And I just got to chatting with somebody about what I was up to, what they were up to. They were running their own warehouse. I happened to have skill sets that complemented their warehouse. But that was that. Like, we didn't leave off with any sort of, hey, let's chat about business, let's chat about working together. It was more so like, hey, let's add each other on Facebook, let's exchange numbers, and that's that. And then later on, I'd gone on vacation, I come home, I swap out my SIM card. Yeah. And I see a voicemail on my phone that was from one of those people who I was talking to. They're like, hey, you know what? We connected some dots and realized we could use your help in the warehouse. And I was like, are you kidding me? I just like quit my job. Absolutely, I'm interested. Let's go. Let's talk. And the rest is history. We worked together and that blossomed into referrals. And yeah, we've got a full-on business now.
Yeah. Welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm your host, Jessica Carisse, and this space is a place where we talk about seemingly random topics, but in all actuality, they're connected together. And today we have a very special guest. We met through an online female millionaire mastermind that is founded by our friend Doris. And we just kind of bonded because we both have our own podcast. We were just talking about that in the journey of everything. And Kaila, she is the founder and director of Yuri Digital. She started her career in 2011 as a junior graphic and apparel designer. She mapped rhinestone placements for tracksuits, illustrated t-shirt graphics, and updated fashion CADs from the far corner desk of an apparel manufacturing company. Within a few years, she was promoted to design for and oversee multi-million-dollar shipments for major retailers like Honest Company and Zulily.
Yeah, Zulily. Yeah, Zulily. It's an interesting one.
Yes. She also grew to manage customer accounts, design websites, send newsletters, and market her boss's company on social media. Her versatility was evident. Kaila knew how to run and grow a business with her sharp attention to details. In 2016, she began freelancing. Word spread rapidly, and within months, she was servicing multiple clients purely from word of mouth referrals. Kaila Sachse has, I feel like I'm like,
we're good. We can restart. We're good.
Okay. All right.
We're good.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or we keep it because that's what makes it fun.
Right. Keeps it. Yeah. Interesting, juicy.
That's right. But Kaila, like, thank you so much for coming on to the show. You have your company now that's evolved into Yuri Digital, which is a bright team that offers multiple perspectives and collaborations, further expanding the positive outcome of every project. And you know what's just interesting? You know how life just takes us on this whole journey. Did you ever think that you would become a business owner?
Girl, no. Not in the slightest. When I started my career, well, let's back up. Let's back all the way up, right? I was a kid who was always into artsy stuff, but didn't connect those dots and realize like, oh, maybe I'm a creative. Like that just wasn't a possibility in my realm. I didn't know any professional creatives. My dad worked in STEM. He still works in STEM. So it's a very different mindset and thinking. I was raised to want to uphold all of the cranial work that my ancestors had done, you know, like all flowery, crazy stuff. But like, so I got to the point where I'm like, man, I I'm in high school. I don't, I'm not clear on what I want to do. At this point, I want to make sure that I have as many doors open for myself as possible. That was really important. Money was something that was also really important to me as a kid. I grew up in a special circumstance. I have a younger brother who's deaf and autistic. So, and he's not like just he's not light on the spectrum. He's full on 24/7 care. So I grew up with this understanding of like, hey, I'm his only sibling. I am definitely going to have to be the only one to take care of him after my parents pass. Like the ideas of mortality and that the weightiness of that responsibility was evident very early on for me. And so going through high school, again, I wanted to make sure doors were open for myself. I was very studious, straight A's, all the things. I somehow managed to pass the SATs without studying, which is like a humble brag, but also like a crazy to me because like again, like that's just not my natural state. Like what for me, I'm a creative, knowing that now, right? At the time I didn't understand that. And so I was geared up to go to a tech school and backed out at pretty much the last minute. I was like, look, I think I want to get into something else. I started looking at art schools. I watched the color drain from my dad's face when I told him that. And he still supported me in the next steps, helping me get into the school and like figure out what we needed to do. He helped me navigate all of like the student loan stuff, like all that crazy, overwhelming, sitting down in financial offices trying to figure out if we can get FAFSA or not, and other aid and all those things. So anyway, long story short, no, I did not realize I could be a business owner. I barely even realized I was a creative. Like, yeah.
That's so fascinating. No, that's so fascinating because like it brings me back to that state in my life too, where it's like, okay, I had my natural propensities for things, but then at the same time it's like my mom had one particular lifestyle and my dad had a particular lifestyle. My parents are split. So my dad's a doctor, and my mom's a nurse, but she raised us with 5 kids on like one income, basically,
Wow.
So this kind of, the concept of money was in my mind early too.
Yeah.
And like, it's funny because I kind of had like the same little split where it's like, okay, I could go to Stony Brook and pursue medicine like my dad, or I could go to FIT and pursue fashion, which is what I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it's
Ooh.
like I bite myself in the butt so much that I like not too much, because I'm like happy I understand science and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But it's like I turned down that creative path, which is like, more of my natural propensities. And then, tried to fit my way into the science. But it's funny because like with the med school choice, right? When I got to there, that's when I was like, no, 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 no. Let me see what I could do in business.
Oh, interesting. So were you in medical school and then that's when you pivoted?
No, I was starting to get interviews for medical school and I was
Okay.
like, this is real.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's something, right? For me when I look back and I'm like, oh man, I turned down a very financially lucrative career. I see how much my engineer friends are making and they're sitting pretty. They're doing well. But then I also look at their lifestyle and I'm grateful for my lifestyle. I think the
Yeah.
way that I've designed my life really works for me and how my mind works and I, I know for me specifically, I need a lot of flexibility. I don't like to be cooped up in a single space for so long. It doesn't work for me, So I designed my life and I'm happy that I did. My wallet isn't as happy, but that's okay. That's why we're in the female
Well,
millionaire mastermind.
but I think like it's like a catch 22 because like I work with those said engineers, and they're just coding most of the time, It's a lot of high pressure. It's It wears you out. It wears you out.
That's true. That's true. And given natural propensity, weighing that out, I probably wouldn't have gone very far anyway. That's, you know what? I've never thought about that. I'm really glad that you brought that up. Thank you. That's a cool perspective. I like that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. It's I think that's why like I love having these conversations because it's like you're living out it's like we have the different paths, right? So it's like I'm living out like that tech path. And it's funny because now I'm like, okay, how do I make more time where I can actually go back to drawing? How can I make more time to practice the piano more? How do I make more time to like start designing clothes again? Where
Yeah.
you it's like you have your ecosystem now, all the things you like.
Yeah, yeah, extremely grateful for that. And telling the story, so I ended up I ended up going to art school right after that. I worked a couple 9 to 5s. The first one was okay, I'll say both of them were very toxic. Like the work culture was just extremely toxic. At that time, the idea of a healthy work culture wasn't even in conversation.
Mm.
I'm dating myself a little bit. It's fine. But so it was like I'm living in this world that is so ignorant of what it's like to actually take care of people in business, right? It's almost like businesses at the time were so financially focused, right? What is the bottom line, which is important. Let's be very clear. If you're running a business, you have to have an idea of your financials. Extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
But there's the human component that was missing at that time. And so I found myself trying to have these conversations with supervisors and bosses and saying like, look, like this place is not well. It is unwell and changes need to be made in order to take care of these people. For example, like we threw a birthday party for somebody in the break room and we all got scolded for it for wasting company time, quote unquote.
Oh
Right.
wow.
Right. Like that was the type of toxicity and misunderstanding of what it takes to enjoy the people around us and uplift them. So I found myself at a point where I had to make a decision. Do I stay or do I go? If I go, what is the plan? At the time, this very ill-formed plan was to just jump ship and not really look back, attempt sales for my boyfriend, now husband's clothing brand, and just see where that took us. And yeah, that was a utter failure pretty quickly. But universe always has, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. I learned some really good gems as we do. But yeah, no. What I didn't realize is that I had already met my first clients for my artistic endeavors and for my next step, my self-employment. So
Oh,
that ended up working out really well. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
so
I had no
fascinating.
idea. Hmm. Hmm. I think that's like if we're going to talk about the power of anything, it's the power of marketing, right? Or not marketing, the power of networking, right? It's so important to stay in connection with other people in all capacities. So I ended up meeting that first client at like a random it was a dream board party. It was during the new year. My friend was hosting a dream board party. I pictured stacks of physical magazines and scissors and tape and big poster boards. We brought our own poster board and just envisioning our futures together. And I just got to chatting with somebody about what I was up to, what they were up to. They were running their own warehouse. I happened to have skill sets that complemented their warehouse. But that was that. Like we didn't leave off with any sort of, hey, let's chat about business, let's chat about working together. It was more so like, hey, let's add each other on Facebook, let's exchange numbers and that's that. And then later on, I'd gone on vacation, I come home, I swap out my SIM card because at the time like eSIMs weren't a thing.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, yeah. And I see a voicemail on my phone that was from one of those people who I was talking to. And they're like, "Hey, you know what? We connected some dots and realized we could use your help in the warehouse if you're interested." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? I just like quit my job. absolutely, I'm interested. Let's go. Let's talk. And the rest is history. We worked together and that blossomed into referrals and yeah, I've got a full-on
Oh,
business now.
yeah. That's so awesome. That's so awesome. And it reminds me of like because it reminds me because like you put out like that you wanted to do basically entrepreneurial type of stuff,
Hmm.
and then it's like that principle of just relaxing about it. You were on vacation, da 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 da. You quit your job, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And then you get your first client.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a little woo-woo, a little magical. I wouldn't suggest that to be someone's plan per se, right? Like if you're going to quit your job and you absolutely need an income, please try to line up that income before you quit your job. Or like if you're going to start a business, maybe start it as a side hustle. Test out the market first, see if they're willing to pay for what you want to offer. And just test it out that way, you know?
Mhm.
Maybe help it be a little more organic. Don't just like depend on some woo-woo magical thing to happen. But I will say, like, it was pretty fun for it to happen that way.
Yeah. 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 It's like it's interesting because like it's like you have to have like the kind of both, right? Where you have like your plans and making sure you're being responsible.
Mhm.
Because sometimes like especially now there's like a lot of people in transition, like they want to do something, but then there's some naivety behind it
Mhm. Mhm.
where like maybe they don't have all the cash that they need to, make sure that there's
Mhm.
some type of pillow, some type of something that they can land on.
Yes.
Um, and and then you go on your journey of like making sure you have things you can land on sometimes. But yeah, I definitely do agree. Like, at least like for me, it's like once I had that decision in my mind, like I'm letting this go,
Mhm.
I would still do the work. But when I let it go,
Mhm.
that's all of a sudden like a new opportunity to pop in my lap like this.
Mhm. Mhm. Yep. Yep. That's exactly where my mindset was when I was working that final 9 to 5 job. I had known pretty soon after starting there, like, okay, this place is pretty rough. It's really not conducive to my health, my mental health, even my career health. There wasn't a whole lot of growth there. And and I was like, well, look, like this was the mindset at the time, work at a place for as long as you can bear it and then move on to the next opportunity because
Mm-hmm.
jumping jobs right away just wasn't
Yeah.
kosher. It didn't look good and gaps didn't look good. So I
Mm-hmm.
was I was playing the game as best as I knew how at the time.
Yeah.
And same mindset though. I found myself checked out and just ready for the next opportunity, however that was going to look. I didn't really have a specific envision for what that was going to be, but I was
Mm-hmm.
definitely open to it. And sure enough, there was a point where there was a point where my boyfriend and his family, we'd all planned this big vacation. So this was the vacation that I was coming home from when I got the voicemail. And that's a little spoiler alert. So he's planning this vacation. It's 6 months in advance because you want to plan early, get the better plane ticket pricing and do all the planning, make sure everybody's comfortable with lodging and all that. So I go to my boss, it's just 6 months in advance, and I say, hey, I'm going to take this vacation that I've already earned, by the way. Like that vacation time was mine. I earned it. And I said, I'm going to take this 2 week vacation in 6 months and that's that. Like I thought nothing of it and
Mm-hmm.
sharing that. Well, the immediate response was no, you cannot take that vacation. That's during our busy season.
Oh wow.
And I was like, okay, all right. Are you sure? Are you sure? Like it's a hard no. She's like, well, you could take it later in the year. Okay. I was like, well, this is a big group thing. This isn't just me deciding on my own. And also the place we're going to the Philippines at that, for that vacation. It's during rainy season all other times of the year. So the time that we're going is going to be nice. And we're actually taking advantage of like the seasonality.
Yeah.
And it was still a hard no. I said, okay, no problem. I get home from work that day. I tell my boyfriend about what my boss had said. And then we proceeded to buy our plane tickets anyway. And so I was like, okay, looks like that universal decision was already made. Cool, we're gonna roll with it and just see what happens. I spent my would have been vacation time during the holidays. That was really nice. We ducked out, went snowboarding, and had a great trip in Utah, and just made the best of it. It was so crazy. It was so crazy. But that's the power of leaning in, I guess.
Yeah. So like, did you quit like right before the vacation?
Oh, I put in my 2 week notice a few days before I left for vacation. Or was it that or was it I'm trying to figure out the timing of that. No, I put in my 2 week notice. It was 2 weeks before the vacation. That's what it was. Yeah. So basically it's like, look, I'm working for 2 more weeks and then I'm not coming back. I'm hopping on a plane and I'm not coming back to work. I'm done.
That was really perfect timing. It was like very, very perfect timing where you put in your 2 week notice, you went on your vacation, and then as soon as you come back, you have your first client.
Okay, so let's be clear though. Let's be clear. When I came back, I still attempted the sales
Mhm.
pursuit for my boyfriend's brand.
Mhm, mhm.
That's a little bit of a different story and why it ended up in flames. Basically, we had no idea what we were doing and we totally like butchered the whole thing, but it's pretty funny. But my first client, yes, like that voicemail came in when I was coming home from vacation, like the day of. I'm in an Uber and I'm listening to this thing.
Mhm.
But we didn't start working together maybe for another month and a half, 2 months. So
Mm.
there was still like a block of time between because we were still like meeting with each other, sussing out details, seeing
Ah,
if we wanted to work together. So it wasn't like a hard like my signature's on the line, we're working together, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So there's still a little bit of a block of time in between and a lag, and that's what gave me that push to try out the sales thing.
Ah, okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
after that, like, I guess that transitory time in your life,
Mhm.
what propagated you to just like keep, well, I guess like you had the referrals and everything coming in, but I guess like what did that journey like really look like? Like after,
Yeah.
okay, you guys figured out that you wanted to work with each other, but then you had to probably figure out like, okay, this is a new path I'm on. Like, I got to shape this, right?
Yeah, great question. When I started working for the warehouse client, they had actually wanted to take me on full time. And I told them that's not the direction I'm headed. If there's anything that I do know about the my next chapter in life is that I don't want to work full time. I want to attempt to be an entrepreneur and see what it's like to have clientele. I think for me, like my biggest value at that point in time was diversification and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that I had multiple streams of income. Because what I didn't share is that my first job I was laid off from. And that was
Mm,
like a hard knock over the head where it's like, wow, relying on one single employer for my entire income is terrifying. So I didn't want to do that. What I ended up doing for during my second job was I actually took on apartment management too. So I was working that second full-time job. I was also working as an apartment manager. That not only completely took rent off the table. I didn't have to pay rent because I was working in exchange for it.
ah,
But I was also earning a little stipend. So it was a nice taste of what it was like to diversify my income. So
ah, mhm.
right. So flash forward to the warehouse when they asked me to work full time for them, it was a very easy no. It was a very easy I gotta try out this road of having multiple streams of income, multiple clientele. If it doesn't work out, maybe there's still a conversation on the table, right? It wasn't like you guys suck, I can't do that. I didn't burn the bridge. But it was just, I had an idea of what I wanted. So that had happened at the warehouse. They wanted me to work full time. I said no. And I was very adamant, like, okay, like I only want to work a few days a week with you, right? Because they required me to be on site. Totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
So the other days during my week, I was able to fill in with what would become my second client, who came in from a previous colleague of mine who I'd worked with before. So I had the warehouse client, I had my second client who was like a bona fide design client.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, that completely took off. That second client brought in so many referrals. And that, I believe, is testament to the power of showing up on time every time. Like when I say that I'm going to deliver for a client, I mean it. I'm going to show up and make sure that the deliverables are done on their desk, if not by the time I say, before the time I say.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like was it under promising, over delivering? That is my motto. Yeah. Yeah. Like making sure I'm not dropping any expectations. That's important to me. Now, yeah, and we'll get into like self-care in a bit, right? There's like a balance there and making sure like I'm not overextending myself and being realistic with my timelines. That's like a huge part of showing up on time. But yeah, so making sure that I deliver on time, that was a big one. Another one, for another big value for me with my clientele, was delivering good work that I was actually proud of. Why show something that's 50% and not like a perfectionist 50%, but like an actual 50%. Like this really shouldn't have been delivered. That was a huge no-no for me too. Like it has to be good work that is a solid first draft so that we actually have something to talk about.
Yeah.
So those were like my two values with working with my clients.
Yeah. No, those are great values. And it's something, I don't know. It's like I'm finding you either have that mindset or you don't. Like, I feel like a lot of the high achievers, like that's not even like a question of like, I'm delivering, you know what I mean? Like it's a thought that doesn't even cross their mind that I'm going to show you something that's like not done, like, but then you come across other people, or even when you manage other people and they do the half work, it's like, what do you think?
No, seriously, Jess. Like I just started I hired somebody to do well, it doesn't matter who they are, what they do. I'd recently hired somebody and they were 3 weeks late on deliverables. I had to constantly follow up on that. And then the actual deliverables themselves, they complained about having to be so detailed. And it's like on one hand, like you could look at me and be like, well, Kaila, why do you need so many details? Why do you have so much expectation? Look, like they are doing a high value job. So I expect a high value output. And guess what? Like the high value output that I expect is also the high value output that my clients expect. It all trickles down. And so yeah, it's like having that mindset of high achievement is a requirement for anybody who wants to work for themselves or work in a capacity of having clientele or customers. You just have to show up well and on time. Have to. So if you don't have it, then I think that's your marker. Like maybe this isn't the lifestyle for you.
Yeah. And that's something that you can't coach into someone. They either have to have the heart like innately of wanting to be able to deliver high quality, high work. Cause it's like for me, it's a kind of not a sense of pride, but it's like, I know I'm good at this. I know what I'm doing and I want to help you. There's that as well. I want to help you to the full extent of my capabilities. And so that's how like, yeah, like I will go at it until like it's done right. Like I think there's probably only one time in my career where I'm like, oh, I don't think I can do this. But the environment where I was working, that wasn't even an option either. So I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta figure things out regardless. Like, and you figure it out. Like,
Yeah, yeah. You bring up a good point, like the coachability within your team and even within yourself, right? That ability to navigate situations where you don't know what to do, but you got to figure it out. It's either make or break, right? Either you figure it out and you succeed, or you don't.
mhm.
It's really like that's the option. You know what drives me crazy is when people say try. I will try to get it done. I'll try to do. You're not trying. You either do it or you don't.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
Keep going until you figure it out. Yeah.
exactly. And you know, you could say in hindsight, like, hey, I attempted the thing. I attempted a sales. I attempted to do sales for my boyfriend's brand and it flopped. Okay. But I still did it. I still hit the ground and made calls and you know, I did all the things. And
Mhm.
yeah, maybe it didn't work out, but I learned from it too. Right.
Yeah.
So I think like try might be this like fallback word that people use to try to maybe to try to try to protect themselves from disappointment or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And people, there's also like, when you operate from a limiting belief and you say
Mhm.
try, you're coming from a place where you don't believe you're going to do it anyway. So you're kind of expecting not to be able to do it. And then when you don't do
Mhm.
it, you're like, see, I told you I was going to try, but it's like that
Mhm.
self reinforcement.
Mhm. Right, right. It's like you've already given up before you even started the task.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. And earlier you mentioned coachability. I love that you brought that up because what I've found in hiring a team is that yes, there are some things that are coachable and but I'd say the hard skills of showing up on time, delivering the best work you possibly can, communication, those you really can't teach unless you have like a crazy amount of patience, which I don't. Like I know myself, I don't. It's like, look, I either want to work with somebody who has those skills or I don't. The coachable things though could be the skill set. You know, I have somebody on my team who started at a very low level of knowledge within her trade, and together she and I have been able to build up her skill set to a point where she's taking on these projects that there's no way she could have taken on 5 years ago. You
Hmm.
know, so it's pretty cool to nourish that side of a team member and acknowledge like, hey, you've got the basic skills that are needed. You've got the basic mindset skills that were needed. All we got
Yeah.
to work on are the trainable career skills.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. We got this.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the heart and mindset. It's like that sometimes has a lot more weight than the hard skill set, you
Absolutely.
know? Hmm.
Absolutely. Yes.
Hmm.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. And that can, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, because all of this goes back into building up your business because let's say you're trying to, the hot topic is like high, what is it called? High ticket sales or whatever, whatever those social media terms are. But like, let's say you're trying to get like big name brand clients,
Mhm.
you know, there's there's two sides of the puzzle. It's how you present your brand, how you present yourself to attract those big name clients. But then at the
Mhm.
same time, you have to be able to deliver. And when you have those big name brand clients, you have to pay attention to detail more than what someone internally would do at their company, right? So like, so yeah, that trickles down into the standards that you have for your team members because you're putting your reputation, your name on the line. And then plus, like when you niche down into like specific markets, it's a small group. So then they could, like let's say somebody drops the ball, right? Like it kind of makes everything she did kind of go out the window just because you're like, okay, let me be nice and, accommodate. But there's so much that goes into building a business that, I feel like people that you hire may not understand, you
Yep.
know? And so it's like,
Yep.
that's
Yep.
why it kind of goes back to you being firm on your standards.
Yes. Yes. And there's a way to do that kindly. I think that's definitely something that women probably worry about a little bit more is like how do I communicate that I need this certain thing in a certain way without being a jerk? I'm gonna
Hmm.
say jerk on the show, right?
Yeah.
And we know what word that is, but how do I communicate this in a way that is effective and isn't going to discount me as a person? Because
Mhm.
unfortunately, that is something that women have to deal with, right? We get judged on our personalities at work more than we do our actual
Yeah.
skill set and output, which is unfortunate. Unfortunately, that is the game that we have to play. The good news is that there is still a way to play that game, right? And to show up in kindness, that I believe is the ticket, right? You can still keep in some flowery language if you want to, if that's your style, and say, hey, thank you so much for doing XYZ. Like acknowledging, hey, I see the things that you did. Next time, or for this project, I would have liked to have seen ABC,
Right.
right? Or next time, in order to best accommodate our client, we need ABC. What are your thoughts on how we can improve moving forward? Or what are your thoughts on how we can implement this moving forward? Kind of make it a collaborative thing if that's possible.
Hmm.
If it's not, then omit that last statement. But it's like starting in our gratitude, giving the actual feedback that needs to be said, and then if you want to include a collaboration piece, do it. That's possible too. But the key there is to watch how they respond, right?
Mm.
You have a heavy hitter on your team, you have a solid team member if they actually take accountability and address it. Oh man, totally should have done the XYZ, da da da. And this isn't like a blame game. We're not doing blamey stuff. That's
Right.
unhealthy. But
Hmm.
it's more so just like making sure they understand what could have been better so that next time we're working together even more tightly as a team with a better focus on our goal.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So that there is a way to be kind while being firm. And if anything, I believe that being honest in that way is kindness,
Yeah.
right? Because now it's making sure like it for them it's securing their spot on the squad and just saying like, look, like I'm giving you the opportunity to fix this instead of just saying, you know what, didn't like working with them, let's just cut them out. Because that's not cool. Not
Yeah.
giving somebody the opportunity to repair, that's not fair to them.
Hmm.
And obviously this translates into personal lives too, but that's like a different conversation.
Yeah. And even all of this, like it's like the coaching and development and the feedback and being honest, it helps both people. Cause sometimes like when you do have those like hard, honest and kind, you don't want to demean anybody, right? But it's like an honest
No.
conversation when you have like specific examples and feedback and everything.
Mhm.
Later on, that person might come back to you and say, thank you so much,
Mhm. Mhm.
you
Or
know?
or they don't. Or they don't. We're not doing it for them to thank us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like one thing when we go out into the world, like if we do something expecting or hoping that somebody sees our effort and thanks us for it, could be an effort in futility. And instead it's like just coming from the heart and saying like, look, this is what works well. I don't know. And I'm not to say that we shouldn't go out into the world and thank others and see them for their effort, because that is extremely important, especially with team bonding and keeping everybody on the same page, and
Yeah.
also just having a more enjoyable work environment.
Yeah.
Like it's just more fun when people feel acknowledged and feel
Yeah.
like they're all inclusive.
Hmm. Hmm. It
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it is. And like in your journey of just, going from, freelancer to building up your brand, building up your business, building up your clientele, like did you have any mentors along the way, or like for your journey, like what did that look like?
So many different types of mentors and people. I call them like the team, right?
Hmm.
I've had life coaches at different chapters of my life help lead me into the next thing. I've had I actually got really lucky again. I see this is something that I affirm to myself. I always say I'm lucky. I'm lucky. And guess what? Like things show themselves. I'm lucky. So one of my clients had a mentor, a business mentor through a program called Score. And
Ah,
Score is something that if anybody hears me talk, I'm probably going to mention Score because I'm just so grateful to the work that they do for small business owners. It's insurmountable. So I had my client had a mentor through Score, and I really liked the work that they were doing for her. So I reached out to them. And sure enough, I ended up loving the work that they were helping me with. And it basically got to a point where I had my own mentor, but also I was getting feedback from a panel of their colleagues. And so it was really cool to have all this different feedback from different perspectives from people who were successful in business. And so in my head, I'm like, I'd be silly not to listen to this and try out their ideas. And sure enough, trying out their ideas has been a game changer. I mean, that was a
mm,
major reason why I I shifted from just solopreneur to having Yuri Digital, the team. That was also a big shift for the way that I was doing billing. I was I was basically billing by the hour when I was a freelancer, very common and totally okay, right? That's just a method. And then I shifted that to a more flat fee model, more predictable for the client, because I found myself doing more and more and more and more work for these clients. Like they'd ask for one task and then they'd realize that I loved and was capable of doing other tasks too.
uh,
And then sure enough, they'd get this bill at the end of the month that was like, whoa, okay, you did a
uh,
lot of tasks.
yeah, yeah.
So right. So I switched it to either a flat fee model or even a subscription model, depending on what it was, so that I could help build in some more predictability for my clients. That also helped to build in some more predictability for me too. Because I knew like, okay, I've got this chunk averaged out over the next quarter, and this is what my income actually looks like now, instead of just kind of
Mm,
flying by the seat of my pants with income. So yeah. Yeah. Those were but yeah, that the Score program, it's a they're they're a partner with the SBA, so that
yeah.
kind of paints the picture of you know where they're coming from. They definitely helped a ton too. So alongside with my life coaches, who I hired, I'm hiring these people. I've had therapists too on the personal side, which is very important too. So
Mm.
yeah, yeah, getting that external help was everything, and I highly recommend.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, like I definitely it's such like an eye opener when you have like the external mentor. I would say like the similar type of click of aha, like kind of similar to what your score mentors gave for you. It was like kind of similar with this aha if this other group that I'm part of. It's called like Evolve and Thrive. And the facilitator of that, he like went to Wharton, did some years in private equity. And so it's like he harps on like the value you're delivering. That's where you should really frame everything you do around your business. It's just your value delivery, like the value. And so it's definitely like made light bulbs go off in my head. And then on top of it, it's like when those light bulbs go off in your head about like the value you're delivering for your business, then it goes back into the personal self too. Like, like, yeah, I'm a valuable person. So it's like everything kind of goes full circle with like your entrepreneurship journey and then how that reflects back to you.
Yeah, yeah. I would say increasing my internal perceived value was handedly the hardest, has been the hardest journey for me to go through. As a business owner, you go through all kinds of hard stuff, right? But that internal knowing of what I'm worth and coming into that has been the hardest.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It is absolutely a practice.
it
It's
is.
definitely not something where you kind of sit back and hope that it happens someday and you realize your own value. No, you just have to get out there and ask for what you hope that you're worth. And you know what? The market is actually going to say yes.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah,
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 yeah.
not easy, not easy. I'm glad you
No.
brought that up because that's a huge one. It's huge.
It is, if not number one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And Kaila, as we're wrapping up, like that was such a beautiful gem. Like if you could go back and give your younger self who was just about to make that decision, like your top piece of advice from your older self, what would it be?
Ooh. I don't know if it would be advice if as much as encouragement. Like, hey, I know this is really scary, and I know that you have all these self-doubts, and also you're making the right decision. And I'll put right in air quotes, right? There is no right or wrong decision, but like, you got this, girl. Just keep going. Just keep having faith. Keep putting that good energy out there. It will come back. Just trust. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So, encouragement.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you for
the moment of
thank you
encouragement.
for this.
Yeah.
Mm. Thank you for hosting this space. It's so important.
Of course, of course. It's like I was feeling that too, the encouragement, you know. It's like I went back. I'm like, yeah, the encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's like, ultimately, like, I don't think I was doing anything out of alignment. I just
Yeah.
think that it was extra, extra, extra scary because I had A, never done it before, and B, my environment wasn't conducive to those decisions, really. I mean, I had that like little glimmer of support from my dad, but that was about it. Like, I had nobody to look up to. There was a time when I was much, much younger, I'd called somebody to ask for mentorship, and he very sharply said no. So I was climbing a mountain, like, yeah, there's some privilege going on, but like, and also it was still a mountain.
Yeah.
I grew up in a not a great area with not a whole lot of opportunity, and
Yeah.
just making the best.
And you did.
Making
And you did.
I'm doing something. I'm doing something. I enjoy my life, so I think that's testament to something.
Exactly. And where can people find you?
People can find me Instagram. I hang out on probably way too much. I'm like debating if I log off or not, but I probably won't. So just come hang out with me there. Sachet Fierce, that's me. I'm also on LinkedIn at Kaila Sachse. This will probably need to be linked somewhere because spelling my last name is insane. So yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm so happy you came on here. It really warmed my heart. Thank you so much, Kaila. This was fantastic.
I'm glad to hear it, Jess. Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening and thanks for watching. If you were inspired by what you heard, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.